Do you have any idea what the secret is?
I do. I've got a little secret, and I'll tell you what that is. I know Donald Trump's secret with Mike Johnson because Mike Johnson just texted me. I told him I was going to do this interview. The secret is a series of TeleTown Halls. President Trump, when he met with us at the Capitol Hill Club some months back, it was a great team meeting between the House members and President Trump, and then he later had one with the Senate. This is something that President Trump did last election cycle, and he is going to up his game even more so this cycle, to have TeleTown Halls with at-risk seats, members who are trying desperately to get back to Congress to increase our majority in the House, because Lord knows the slim majority that we have right now is not working. And these TeleTown Halls have been quite effective. I think it shows the tenacity, the tone and tenor that this president wants to set to touch people personally, to talk to them on the phone. The 45th president of the United States doing TeleTown Halls.
Wow. So I guess you're making news here, Congressman. Thank you for reaching out to the speaker ahead of our conversation. Why would TeleTown Halls have to be a secret? Isn't that the normal way of doing business?
Well, I think it's very uncommon for a former president and future president to do TeleTown Halls in the number that he is attempting to do this. It's going to be in the dozens of calls. And I remember Trump saying this now a couple of months ago, that he is going to work overtime well into the night to make sure that we increase our majority in the House. And, of course, Mike Johnson, the leadership team, Steve Scalise, Tom Emmert, everyone is excited that President Trump is on board. And we are working as a well-oiled machine to increase our majority in the House.
Well, when we consider your majority in the House, that will be decided potentially as soon as next Tuesday, although those results may take a little bit longer to tally in some of these majority-making states like California and New York. If, though, you do not keep the majority, if it turns into the minority, is Speaker Johnson still going to be your leader? What will happen in the leadership elections that take place a week after Election Day?
Well, Kailey, I certainly appreciate the question, but I'm not going to play what ifs, because that is not going to happen. We are on track to pick up 5 to 7 seats in our estimation. The polling looks good, even in some of the seats up in New York where Joe Biden won last year, and we got some Republican congressmen and women out of that. They're going to be returning. We are out campaigning. I'm joining Steve Scalise later this week on the campaign trail. I'm in a safe district here in Missouri. And so this is a team sport. We are going to take an even greater majority in the U.S. House. We're going to take back the Senate. Trump is going to be in the White House. And then you're going to see a great deal of action come January 20th, even really before then, as we begin to plan to renew the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and other things that we can do for the American people.
Your support for the former president is duly noted, Congressman. I want to ask you about what happens when you come back to work later on this year, because we spent weeks and weeks talking about the continuing resolution that got us this far, at least, in funding the government. You're writing at the Hill, the real monster this Halloween. We'll deal with the first holiday we're going to be coming up on here, our national debt and a dysfunctional Congress. You talk about the fact that the House passed 5 of the 12 appropriations bill, defense, homeland security, and more, but the Senate passed 0 bills. So in your construct here for Halloween, if the national debt and a dysfunctional Congress are the real monsters, is Chuck Schumer the boogeyman?
He may be Dracula, because he is sucking everything out of how Congress should work with his intransigence and the way that he is stopping bills from moving forward, including H.R. 2, the Secure Border Act, which hadn't seen the light of day over in the Senate. Look, it's dysfunctional because the Senate is not doing its job. We have passed more than 70% of funding for the federal government. This time last year, we had only 1 appropriations bill off the U.S. House floor. This year, we have 5. It's an improvement, not where it should be, but we are making great strides under the leadership of the Appropriations Committee, Tom Cole, to make sure that we are operating in regular order. And my hope is that for Christmas, we can deliver for the American people, getting the remaining of these appropriation bills done, and most importantly, give President Trump a clear pathway as he takes off in his new administration, that we can get these things done in the first 100 days, which are so important.
I'd like to ask you about something in your state specifically, Congressman, because Missouri also has a reproductive health measure on the ballot this November that would enshrine abortion into the state constitution. We spoke with the mayor of St. Louis, Tashore Jones, about this earlier this month. This is what she told us, and I'll have you respond.
Missouri is a little unique in that Amendment 3 is actually polling ahead. So we totally expect Amendment 3 to pass. But unfortunately, Missourians will elect Republicans to lead our state who will do everything in their power to try to turn those gains back.
If this measure passes, Congressman, if it's the will of the people of Missouri to enshrine abortion rights into the Constitution, should that be pulled back?
Should it what?
Should that be reversed by the state legislature? Would you encourage Republicans in that legislature to let it stand?
Well, we have a very unique, I don't know, very unique, but it's a little bit different process here, the initiative petition, where we can get things on our Constitution rather easily with a minimum number of signatures. This is the reason it got on as Amendment 3 here in the state of Missouri. We're going to vote on it. And the mayor of St. Louis is correct. I've heard of polling recently as today that it is ahead slightly, but there's still about 14% undecided on this. And I think when they get the true message of what this bill is about, it's written in such weird language that it could conceivably include transgender surgeries for minors, abortions for minors without consent by their parents or guardians, and abortions up until birth, which I think even the most reasoned, rational Democrat or independent might think that that's gone a bit too far. So we'll see what happens. We're getting the word out. We're having a big rally on Saturday in regards to this. Lamar Hunt Jr., part owner of the Chiefs, is going to be there. We have got to let people know the truth about Amendment 3 and defeat it soundly.
Well, abortions to birth has never been advocated that we're aware of, Congressman. But I want to ask you about an important committee assignment you have on agriculture. Are we going to get a farm bill in the lame duck?
That's why I'm wearing this green tie, Joe. It is my hopeful tie that we are going to get it done. And we were successful in getting over 100 signatures of my fellow Republicans sent to the leadership before we left to come back to work in district for the elections to get this farm bill on the floor. We have a limited number of days. I understand that. I'm going to be pressing Steve Scalise and the leadership to get it on the floor. It's so important to our farmers and producers to make sure that they have the safety nets that they need to. I talk to farmers every day. I talked to one yesterday who's thinking about, after 3 generations, selling the farm because the input costs are so high because of what this administration has done with this war on fossil fuels. It's raised the prices of fuel and fertilizer, and it's untenable for farmers right now. And our food security is national security. This farm bill also raises the food stamp program, or the SNAP program, by $295 million. The Democrats are trying to tell you it's cutting the programs. We are bringing accountability to the program, but there's $33 million a day in waste, abuse, and fraud in SNAP. And if anyone's truly hungry in the greatest nation known to man and they cannot work, we should be helping them.